You don't wake up planning to be manipulated. You don't scroll social media thinking, "Let someone control my decisions today." And yet, every single day, you buy things you didn't need, trust brands you barely researched, and feel emotions that were intentionally triggered. Not because you're weak, not because you're stupid, but because your brain is predictable. Marketing and advertising are no longer about selling products. They are about controlling perception. They don't fight your logic, they bypass it. They speak directly to your instincts, fear, desire, belonging, insecurity, and identity. And the most disturbing part? Most of the time, you don't even realize it's happening. This video exposes the dark psychology tricks used in marketing and advertising. Not theories, not conspiracies, but real psychological techniques applied every day by brands, corporations, and platforms you interact with constantly. Once you see them, you can't unsee them. Scarcity. How time pressure hijacks your brain. Only 2 left in stock. Offer ends in 1 hour. Limited edition. Last chance. You've seen this thousands of times. And even when you know, it's probably fake, your heart still beats faster. That's not an accident. This is scarcity psychology, one of the oldest and most powerful manipulation tools ever used. Your brain evolved in environments where scarcity meant danger. If food was rare, you acted fast. If opportunities were limited, you grabbed them. Marketing exploits this ancient survival wiring. When an ad introduces urgency, your brain switches from thinking mode to reacting mode. You don't analyze value. You don't compare options. You don't ask, "Do I really need this?" You ask only one question: what if I miss out? That fear, the fear of loss, is stronger than the desire to gain. Even when the product isn't actually scarce. Even when the countdown timer resets tomorrow. Even when limited stock mysteriously never runs out. Your emotions respond faster than logic ever could. That's why scarcity works. Not because it's true, but because it feels true. FOMO, the fear of being left behind. Scarcity's darker cousin is FOMO, the fear of missing out. Marketing doesn't just say, "This is available for a short time." It says, "Everyone else is already enjoying this, except you." This taps into a deeper psychological wound. Humans are social creatures. Being excluded once meant death. So when marketing suggests you're late, behind, or missing something others have, your nervous system reacts. That's why you see phrases like, "Don't get left behind," "Join millions," "Be part of the movement." What everyone is talking about. You're not buying a product. You're buying belonging. And fear of exclusion is one of the strongest motivators known to psychology. Social proof. How crowds decide for you. Imagine 2 identical products. One has no reviews. The other has thousands. Which one feels safer? That instinctive preference is social proof. When you're unsure, you copy others. Marketing doesn't rely on persuasion anymore. It relies on numbers. Bestseller, most popular choice, 5-star rated, trending now. Your brain assumes, if many people chose this, it must be right. Even when those people are strangers. Even when reviews are manipulated. Even when popularity has nothing to do with quality. The crowd replaces your judgment and the darker truth. Social proof works even when you know it's fake. Because awareness doesn't stop instinct. Authority bias, when confidence replaces truth. Why does a confident voice sell better than facts? Why do people trust ads featuring doctors, experts, professionals, clean lab visuals? Because authority bias shuts down questioning. When someone appears knowledgeable, your brain relaxes. It assumes safety. Marketing doesn't need real experts. It needs signals of authority. Technical language, charts, and statistics. White coats, serious tone. Once authority is established, you stop challenging claims. You obey. That's why confidence sells, even when truth is missing. Emotional marketing, selling feelings, not products. Most ads don't explain what a product does. They show you how it feels. A car ad doesn't talk about engineering. It shows freedom, dominance, and success. A skincare ad doesn't explain chemistry. It shows confidence and beauty. A phone ad doesn't list features. It shows connection and creativity. Marketing understands something fundamental. Humans don't buy with logic. They justify with logic after emotion decides. So brands attach emotions to products. Later, when you feel insecure, lonely, or bored, your brain remembers the product. Not consciously, emotionally. That's conditioning. Fear marketing: create the problem, sell the solution. This is where marketing turns dark. First, it creates insecurity. You're aging faster than you think. You're not productive enough. You're falling behind. Then it offers relief. Buy this, use this. Subscribe here. Fear narrows thinking. When you're afraid, you don't evaluate, you escape. Marketing doesn't solve problems. It often manufactures them, because fear sells faster than hope. Price anchoring: manipulating value perception. $500 now, $199. Your brain celebrates. Even if $199 is still overpriced, that first number becomes an anchor. Everything after feels cheaper by comparison. This is price anchoring. It doesn't change value, it changes perception. You feel smart for saving money, even though you still spent it. Free trials. Turning habits into handcuffs. Try it free. No commitment. But once something becomes part of your routine, your brain resists letting it go. This is loss aversion. You don't want to lose access, even if you didn't care before. By the time payment starts, you're no longer choosing to buy. You're choosing whether to lose something, and loss feels painful. Choice overload. Why marketing decides for you. Too many options overwhelm the brain. So marketing simplifies. Recommended for you. Most people choose this. Best plan. You surrender decision-making. Convenience replaces autonomy, and marketers quietly decide for you. Repetition. How familiarity becomes trust. The more you see something, the safer it feels. This is the mere exposure effect. Ads repeat, not to convince, but to normalize. Eventually, your brain says, "I've seen this everywhere. It must be reliable." Familiarity becomes trust. And here's where it gets even more disturbing. Because everything we've covered so far only scratches the surface. Marketing doesn't just influence what you buy. It shapes how you see yourself, what you believe you need, and even who you think you are. And that's where the psychology turns truly dark. Because once marketing stops targeting your wallet, it starts targeting your identity. This is where influence becomes control. Not loud, not obvious, but deeply personal. Identity marketing, turning products into personality. At some point, marketing realized something terrifying. If they can convince you that a product represents who you are, they never have to sell to you again. You will defend it. You will promote it. You will attach your ego to it. This is identity marketing. You're no longer buying shoes. You're buying ambition. You're no longer buying a phone. You're buying creativity, intelligence, status. You're no longer buying clothes. You're buying confidence, rebellion, or belonging. Brands don't ask, "Do you like this?" They ask, "Is this you?" And once you say yes, logic stops mattering. Because criticizing the product now feels like criticizing you. That's why people get emotionally defensive about brands. That's why they argue online. That's why they stay loyal even when quality drops. The product became part of their self-image. Marketing didn't sell an object. It rewired identity. Belonging, selling you a tribe. Humans crave belonging more than truth. So marketing creates tribes. Apple users versus Android users. Luxury versus budget. Fitness culture, hustle culture. Minimalism, streetwear, productivity communities. These aren't just markets, they're psychological groups. Once you're inside a group, you adopt its beliefs, language, and values. and leaving the group feels like rejection. So you stay. You conform. You buy again. Belonging is powerful because it feels safe. Marketing knows this. That's why ads say, join the movement. People like you choose this. Welcome to the family. They're not selling products. They're selling acceptance. Algorithm manipulation. When marketing follows you home. Marketing used to be external. Now it lives inside your phone. Social media algorithms don't just show ads, they study you. What you pause on, what you scroll past, what makes you angry, what makes you insecure. Then they feed you content that keeps you emotionally engaged. Because emotion equals attention. Attention equals profit. Fear, outrage, desire. Comparison, the algorithm doesn't care about your well-being. It cares about engagement. So marketing becomes personalized. You're not seeing ads. You're seeing psychological mirrors designed to keep you scrolling and buying. Dopamine loops, addiction by design. This is one of the darkest techniques in modern marketing. Dopamine engineering. Likes, notifications, rewards, limited drops, flash sales. Your brain releases dopamine when it anticipates reward, not when it receives it. Marketing keeps you in a constant state of anticipation, waiting for discounts, drops, approval, validation. This creates addiction loops. You don't buy because you need. You buy because it feels good. Briefly, then emptiness returns, so you scroll again. Click again. Buy again. Marketing doesn't want satisfaction. It wants repetition. Comparison psychology, making you feel behind. Marketing thrives on comparison. Ads subtly show you better bodies, better lifestyles, better homes, better success. Not to inspire, but to destabilize. When you compare yourself, you feel incomplete. And incomplete people buy more. Social media intensifies this. Everyone looks happier, richer, more successful. Marketing doesn't say you're failing. It lets you say it to yourself. Then it offers the fix. Simplicity illusion, deciding for you. Modern life overwhelms the brain. So marketing removes effort. This is the best choice. This is recommended for you. Most people choose this. Your brain loves shortcuts. When tired, stressed, or distracted, you surrender decision-making. You feel relieved. But you also give up control. Marketing doesn't force you. It makes choosing effortless. Storytelling, how narratives override facts. Facts inform, stories persuade. Marketing uses storytelling to bypass logic. A founder story, a struggle story, a transformation story. Your brain connects emotionally. You stop evaluating claims because stories feel human, even when they're scripted. Marketing doesn't need truth. It needs emotional coherence. Repetition and normalization. Shaping beliefs. The more something is repeated, the more normal it feels. The more normal it feels, the less you question it. This doesn't just affect buying. It affects beliefs. What success looks like. What beauty looks like. What happiness looks like. Marketing slowly defines reality. Not through arguments, through repetition. The illusion of choice, control without force. You feel free. But most choices are pre-framed. Plans, bundles, upgrades. The illusion of freedom keeps you calm. But the outcome is guided. Marketing doesn't trap you. It gently leads you. Why these tricks work even when you know them. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Knowing about manipulation doesn't make you immune, because these tricks target instincts, not intelligence. Awareness doesn't stop emotion, but it creates pause. And pause creates choice. How to protect yourself? You don't need to escape marketing. You need to see it clearly. Ask yourself, what emotion is this triggering? What insecurity is this activating? What identity is this appealing to? Am I buying relief or value? Delay purchases, remove urgency. Create distance. Marketing loses power when emotion cools down. This video is created strictly for education and awareness. Understanding dark psychology in marketing is meant to help people protect themselves, not exploit others. Using psychological techniques to deceive, manipulate, or harm people is unethical and damaging. Awareness builds freedom. Manipulation destroys trust. Choose awareness. Marketing will never stop, but unconscious obedience can. The moment you recognize the trick, it weakens. The moment you pause, you regain control. The most powerful consumer is the one who understands the game. Stay aware.